Hey again, Misters, it's time for another 1 minute review. Don't pay too close to the time there, but we try for 1 minute, relatively speaking. This is Tales from the Red Dragon Inn. This is Slugfest Games. I absolutely love Slugfest Games. I want to thank Jen again for how awesome she is. If you look back in our history, I did a live stream with her where we played this game, actually, this very game, on a Tabletop Simulator, and I had a ball with this game, and I was like super thrilled that I got a copy from them. This game is awesome. Now, if you guys have played Red Dragon Inn, the regular Red Dragon Inn that we're very fond of. It's a brawling, drinking pub game where it's basically these kind of comedy versions of characters that go and it's after an adventure, and everybody has like they're around a table and everybody's trying to knock the other player out either through losing money or knocking them under the table drink-wise, like they get too drunk, or they lose too much health and basically lose the game. And I love that game. We love that game. I've been playing it forever. Absolutely adore it. So I was super excited that they actually came out with a Tales from the Red Dragon Inn game, which is basically what happens, ironically, between the drinking game. Although, I guess it'd be kind of the other way around too, because it'd have the adventure and the drinking game should be what happens between the actual adventures. So, and I love the approach they took to this. So they wanted to make a campaign game. And again, if you watch our video, they wanted something more approachable. They wanted something that wasn't Gloomhaven. We love Gloomhaven. We can't knock on them, of course. But something that was accessible, you can get to the table, have the same kind of theme and adventure and rolling dice and killing monsters and stuff, but not be like 5 years of setup, no overly complicated things. And there really hasn't been a good dungeon crawl game that's quite done that so much yet. They come close with like Imperial Assault and some of those other ones, but there's still quite a bit of setup and other things in there involved. These guys went back to like straight up, old school map design, kind of, old school, I say old school, but just the paper, kind of the thick paper map design. But they added all the campaign elements you'd find kind of in Gloomhaven and those kind of games where it's a campaign and you unlock stuff as you go. I was ecstatic. I played the game, like I said, and we absolutely loved it. We got to the table. I played a few of the campaign adventures, and I won't spoil stuff. And the reason why we probably don't have an unboxing of this is because you open it up and it's like, don't open anything other than this one little box. And the box will have your minis and your character cards and a few other things. And then it kind of walks you through the first adventure, and then it kind of goes on from there. So you have every map available in the game is on these paper maps, and there's actually a thick thing of maps that it has like 20 or 30 maps in there, and they're double-sided, so you have tons of adventures to go on. You have minis of all the characters from I think it's from the first game, from the first Red Dragon, and maybe the second as well. It's Gog and Zot and Deidre and all those characters that, if you know, you're very popular. And of course, one of the more popular ones, of course, is Pookie. You got your evil rabbit of doom over here. And he shares a spot with Zot when you play. Every character has their own cards that they use to activate to do their attacks. They have a basic set of attacks on their cards, but they also have a kind of upgraded attacks. But most of the time, you only have limited uses for those attacks, especially in the case of Deidre. Or when you use them, they'll have like a cooldown, which basically you have counters that go on there, and it'll be that many turns before they'll be able to fire again. Every character gets that, and as you go along, you have a vault that you pull from, so your characters kind of get upgraded and upgraded and upgraded as you go along. And with 6 characters and the fact that you can switch between characters between missions because you're not married to one, all the characters get upgraded as you go along. So you don't have to particularly like grind a character to get them up. Every character gets upgraded as it goes, so you can swap between whoever you want to play that game. It keeps it nice and mixy so you can not be stuck in one character. It just leaves a lot of opportunity to just have a ton of fun with this game. As you could play kind of whatever character you want. You see them grow, you have different things that they add to it, and you can add to your loadout as you go along, and it's just awesome. And you'll have your little preface, you'll have your little story that sets up. You have all of your other monsters are done by these cardboard tokens, which look good, they look very good. I mean, yeah, you'd like minis, but then the game gets extremely expensive at that point, so they kind of hit that sweet spot where it's not too expensive and you get everything you could want in a campaign game. And every character, it's actually really not very complicated, and that's really the nice thing about it. It doesn't take a ton of digging through rules to figure out your abilities. And again, if you played some of the thicker dungeon crawlers, it could take you forever to kind of relearn the game, even if you haven't played it in 5 minutes. This, not so much. It's super easy. So you go through, you activate, every turn you'll get a bag. And actually, hold on, I forgot my bag. You get a bag, waha! And basically your bag will have initiative tokens in there for the monsters and for your characters. And it will scale depending on how many people are playing at the time, because it does scale, which is very nice. So if you only have 2 people playing compared to 4, you get extra counters. And basically go in here, and this is your initiative. You pull it out, and if it's your monsters activate, if it's your character will activate. Your character will get 3 tokens. They'll get usually, normally, depending on how many people are playing, you'll get 2 action and a shenanigans. All your characters either use actions, or in Deidre's case, sometimes you'll have shenanigans. Shenanigans are kind of like a lesser action. In her case, she'll move with it and stuff like that. Others, you'll have pure actions, maybe with a shenanigan, like the potions and stuff often use shenanigans. And you'll basically, it's like 3 actions, or 2.5, and you'll flip them over and take the actions, usually moving, leaping, and sometimes removing counters, but more often than not, you're going to be attacking. You're going to be attacking and moving around and attacking. And so it creates this awesome kind of flow in the game where it's not overly complicated, but you have a good conversation on how to kind of best tackle all the problems. And you'll have win objectives, like in the first one, you just have to kill everything and not die. But they get a little more complicated later. We had in our video it was a beer mule, electronic beer mule, like a robot, and we had to keep it alive during the whole campaign. I think me and Jen pulled out a win at the very end by the skin of our teeth. So there's a lot of variance, there's a lot going on. I can't even describe how much cardboard and campaign stuff is in this. I can't even, like, there's just way too much. You know, you could take a shot of it. Maybe we'll try to, once we get some more stuff undone, I'll do like a impromptu unboxing to show you all the kinds of stuff that comes in it. But there is a literal ton of cardboard. You know what? I will yank out the maps here just for example. This is your book of maps. I mean, literally, you have tons of maps. I don't want to spoil anything, but that's a lot of game. And then each campaign section is sealed off. So you have sealed campaign chapters that you go through, and each one has its own section of cardboard. So it's just, I mean, you get a ton of game. But the fact that this game is quick, accessible, set up, sit down, go, play, and have a good time is amazing, because you want sometimes to play the dungeon crawler, but you don't want to spend the 5-6 hours to set it up and play. You have also other little things in here involved where you have these epic dice pool. When you roll, you'll do your damage. Of course, this is dice based, so you roll, you do your damage. But if you roll exclamations, you'll add it to a dice pool that's shared by everybody. And basically, these black dice will come in and out of this pool either for defense or offense. And then you have your usual critical hits, which will just basically do damage and let you re-roll. And so you go along just beating up monsters. The monsters themselves are controlled by AI, so there's nobody having to be an evil overlord, which I do enjoy. But in this case, I prefer the co-op because I don't want to kill people. But you'll have your dice that you roll for the robots or whatever else you're fighting. And this will dictate what they do. So you roll the scheme dice, they're called, at the beginning, and it will determine what these different robots and monsters do. More often than not, they're moving and attacking, of course, and doing that kind of thing. And you have your impassable terrain. You have each terrain kind of changes things up a little bit. It's an awesome game. It's a very, very awesome game. Kudos out to Slugfest Games. You guys made a very accessible, fun dungeon crawler that does not take like a number cruncher or a rules lawyer to play. Like, somebody could pick up this book, do the walkthrough and play, and they don't have to be seriously heavy into, you know, crawling adventure dungeon games. So, I mean, this game is awesome. I highly recommend it. The Kickstarter did great for them. I'm looking forward to even more once we get through this. Of course, it's going to take a while to chug through this. There's a lot of game here. But this is a knockout hit for them. And then the cool thing, as an addendum here, the cool thing is you could do an adventure, and then you want to cool down for the night. You bust out the regular Red Dragon Inn and do all of your drinking and partying game afterwards and try to knock everybody under the table or gamble them out. Awesome game, guys. Top notch. I will give this a 5 salties. I mean, absolutely love this game. Now, and as always, I try to have a caveat. The only things like I could ever gripe about in this is, yeah, sure, I'd love to see an upgraded version with, you know, minis for all the guys and stuff like that. But that's really a very minor quibble. You don't necessarily need them in this kind of game with all the amount of variance going on and everything else. It's not really. It would take a ton of minis. Let's put it this way: it would take a ton of minis to bring this to the table. And it would be a much more expensive game with all the amounts of creatures and everything. I totally get why they went the cardboard route, because yeah, there was just way too much. And it gives them freedom to actually make a lot of varied monsters without having to worry about the cost involved. So kudos to you guys. 5 salties. This game is awesome. We've already sunk a bunch of time into it. Played, 3, 4, 5 adventures, I want to say. Absolutely love it. My kids love this. Everybody loves the characters. The fact that we get to see the characters go on these adventures that, you bar brawl with is just amazing, guys. Absolutely love it. Tales from the Red Dragon Inn. You heard it here. I think the Kickstarters got sent and delivered. It is not out in retail yet, although I think it should be. You can pre-order it, and it should be out at Gen Con. We'll put info below. I'm sure I'll get some more info as we get closer to Gen Con here in the coming weeks, but absolutely nail this guy. If you guys want an accessible, fun dungeon crawler, if you're any kind of fan of Red Dragon Inn, absolutely get this game. You will not be disappointed, guys. Thanks again, and as always, of course, guys, don't forget to Dragon On.